Welcome, electronics programmers. I'm going to go out on a limb here for a second and just imagine that you are here because you saw our title and thumbnail, promising to help you determine which ESP32 development board to use for your next project. That is a big question because there's so many out there. I mean, seriously, like this is just the stuff that I've got floating around my lab right now. And it's kind of ridiculous. You know, if you need something with a really nice camera and microphone on it, in a very tiny package, they got that. I mean, we've got kind of overkill development boards like this one from Espressif itself that has everything broken out on multiple different GPIOs, labeled with every possible label you can imagine. Like extra processors, just, you know, in case the ESP32 itself is not enough. SD card, a little bit overkill. I've actually never needed this board specifically for anything. I generally just go for any one of these types of boards. When you get to talking about the more maybe vanilla dev boards, there's a lot to choose from, even not thinking about ones with screens and whatnot. Today we're going to talk about this one right here. And actually this is on its own kind of breakout board. There's like a development board for the development board. It's very meta. When you need just a quick generic ESP32 dev board to throw into a project, this one's got a lot of great features going for it that we're going to cover in this video. Now that's not to discount the excellent boards that are available from places like the official Arduino website, Adafruit, Sparkfun, and many others. These boards will often come with excellent support and documentation, but sometimes you just need a quick, cheap, easy board to throw into a project, and this one is always my go-to for that situation. And if you stick around to the end of the video, we've also got a free downloadable tool that we've developed specifically for this dev board. Okay, so if I'm not careful, this video could get really boring really fast. So we're going to talk about a few of the issues you might come across when you're choosing an ESP32 dev board as if they are mortal threats. I mean, I guess it's kind of like dating. There's like so many fish in the sea, but some of them are axe murderers. So you got to be careful in how you're choosing and figure out, you know, what your red flags are maybe. If you haven't spent a whole bunch of time researching different ESP32 dev board features and trying them out and comparing them to each other, how do you know what some of the red flags are so that you can keep your head on your shoulders? You don't. So I'm going to just share some of my ESP32 dev board red flags and try to steer you clear and in the right direction. So it just occurred to me that you might be asking yourself, what is a dev board? And if that's the case, thank you so much for sticking around this video for 3 minutes without knowing that. Basically, a dev board is an electronic device, kind of like this one right here, that you'll use when you are developing an electronics project. Having everything you need on one board like this, in terms of a microcontroller, all of your GPIO pins exposed, USB connector, a USB to serial adapter, a power regulator, maybe some LEDs on there, gives you a whole bunch of stuff to work with so that you don't have to start making a circuit board from scratch for every project that you build. And so it really saves on project development time. Now, if you are making your own circuit board, you might still start with a development board like this before you go to designing your own PCB. If you do design your own circuit boards, I want to take a minute and tell you about today's sponsor, JLCPCB.com. JLCPCB is the place to... Wait, are you hearing this? No, please don't make me do this, please. All right. JLC, making juicy little circuits. Every time I order, boards delivered so perfect. I upload my Gerbers to their online servers. Choose my build parameters, like quantity and surface finish. Things look good on their 3D viewer. Checkout so easy, then their engineers review it, get it in production same day with updates, and fabricate and ship it in 2 days or less. With JLC, I must confess, when boards arrive, I feel so blessed because once again they've passed the test. JLC, making juicy little circuits. Order today at jlcpcb.com. JLCPCB.com also offers PCB assembly, 3D printing, laser cutting, CNC machining, and so much more. Check out jlcpcb.com today for all your DIY electronics, engineering, and maker needs. Okay, so the first ESP32 dev board red flag, that's a tongue twister, that I'm going to talk about is this thing right here. Hopefully you can see that, but probably not. So let's jump over to the side bench for a minute. The item that I was trying to point to moments ago was this little button right here. Now, you might not think about it, you might not expect it, it might not be something that most people are even aware of, especially when you're first working with ESP32. But on many of these boards, you've got to hold this programming button at the very, very precise moment that you're supposed to during your code upload process. And that can be really annoying because the Arduino IDE is like compiling all the code and giving you all kinds of messages, and then like right when it starts to upload, you have to be like, oh, I have to hold it right now. And you might say, well, like, well, why don't you just hold it the whole time? Well, you get a little indent and a little cramp in your finger when you keep pressing this button. And then it's annoying when you forget to press the button and you have to recompile your code again and then try to upload it again. And then you realize that you didn't have something plugged in right, and then you have to do it again. And pressing that little button is one of these kind of invisible, annoying things that you don't think about until you have to do it all day when you're trying to build your project. And it becomes one of the most annoying little things in the world. All right, so that little button right there is definitely one of my big ESP32 dev board red flags. And the board that we are showing you today does not require you to hit that button manually. As soon as you hit upload in your Arduino IDE, the board knows that some code is coming to it, and it puts itself into programming mode so you don't get the horrible cramp in your finger, which, I mean, it doesn't sound like a big of a problem as it actually is, but if you've gone through this, then you know the pain, and you'll enjoy having a board that doesn't require you to have that pain. All right, let's talk about ESP32 dev board red flag number 2. And that's going to be something that you still can't see from this camera. So let's jump over to the other bench again. Okay, so there's a big difference between the two boards I'm holding right now. Can you spot it? Okay, if you haven't seen it yet, it's this one has GPIO labels on the top of the board. This one does not. It gets really annoying when you are modifying your project and you have to plug and unplug jumper cables and memorize or like grab another board as a reference and like look at the bottom of it and then count up to figure out which pin number you're on as you're plugging stuff in. That's annoying. Let's put labels on the top of all the boards. However, there is a caveat with that. This board that doesn't have the labels on it gives you access to one row of holes on either side of the breadboard. They are saving the width of this dev board just enough that we can access all of the GPIOs on a single breadboard like this. And on the dev board that I like, it's a little bit too wide to access both sides of the GPIOs on the standard width breadboard. There's a trade-off there. I actually prefer to use this board because let me show you something. So this board, it's got the labels on the top. This board actually comes with a breakout board that gives you lots more access to all the GPIOs. So now I can plug into lots and lots of GPIO breakouts, and they're all nice and labeled. And it's got the USB-C. You can also use the micro USB if you wanted to. Not sure why they put that on there, but it's there in case you want to give it power that way. You can also give it power from this barrel jack connector that'll take anywhere from, what does it say, 6.5 to 18 volts. So this gives you a lot of different powering options. Okay, let's talk about ESP32 dev board red flag number 3, USB. Honestly, I don't have too much to say on this one. I mean, it's nearly 2025, and there's never any reason to include a micro USB port on any product ever again. Let's just use USB-C like our benevolent AI overlords intended. We can do this, guys. Let's just try to do better, okay? So for everyone that's been counting along, yeah, that was only 3 red flags. Well, what can I say? I've got low standards. If I don't see those red flags in the first 5 minutes, I'm ready to put a ring on it. Boop. For more relationship advice, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Okay, wait a minute. There's a little bit more here I wanted to say about this. Some of these other boards don't have things like an onboard programmable LED, and they might not have all the GPIOs accessible. This board does have a programmable onboard LED, so you can run a simple blink sketch and make sure that the board's working, and it doesn't block out any of the GPIOs, so you've got access to every GPIO number that's listed on here. So there's a little bonus for you. Now there is one more thing I want to talk about, completely separate from the board hardware itself, which can make or break your productive electronics development session, and that is documentation. One important and commonly referenced documentation tool is a GPIO pinout diagram. If you don't know what a GPIO pinout diagram is, it's essentially a roadmap to the GPIO pin names and functions of your microcontroller or dev board. It'll give you a breakdown of all of the names and numbers of the GPIOs, as well as what functions they each support. So if you go out and you just do a simple Google search for ESP32 pinout diagram, you're going to come up with dozens, maybe hundreds of different pinout diagrams. And there's going to be differences between them depending on who made them, the context that they made them for, whether it's for a module or for a full dev board, whether it's for the specific CPU on the dev board that you're using, or whether it's just completely inaccurate to begin with. And they all tend to use different acronyms and different symbols and different legends and different keys to try to fit a whole bunch of information in there. And it gets really confusing and overwhelming and often leads to problems in projects if you're looking at the wrong information on either the wrong GPIO pinout diagram, or you are interpreting it wrong because it's just not very clear what the GPIO diagram is trying to say, or sometimes the GPIO diagram, again, is just inaccurate. So what we've done is we've made our own GPIO diagram for this specific dev board, and we've tried to make it as accessible as possible, really breaking out all of the pin names and functions and giving all of the aliases and sharing a whole bunch of other information on there, such as ampacity of each pin, voltage tolerances, and other stuff that might not be clear, that you might have to jump back and forth between different reference tools for. There's a lot more information I want to share with you guys about this GPIO diagram, so we're doing a full separate video on it, which you can find linked somewhere right around here.